What's up, everybody? Let me get this mic closer. All right, should be a little better there. Let's see here. Who is here? I see Gentleman Prime. Gerard is here. USMC 86. Definitely Barbados. Bane. Dope musical countdown. Not something that you can do for live streams, at least not in the same way as my pre-recorded videos. Pat, hi Justin. I have a question. Barbados company is no longer going to be in existence. What would a scent similar? What would be a scent similar to Barbados vintage? Pat, I cannot confirm that about Barbados. They have been continually coming out with fragrances since that was allegedly announced. So I don't know what's going on with them. Nonetheless, I don't have an alternative to vintage, at least not that I think I've suggested something in a video, but there's nothing out there that smells just like it. Let's see. Ross is here. What's up, Ross? Continued discussion. Yes, Michael. Cadillo, hello from Montreal. Hello, Cadillo. Everybody can't like that button. Okay, yes, please. Thank you, USMC. Good day. He was such a nice guy. Jeannie, hello. 8 p.m. in the Netherlands. All right, Gerard. Glad you are able to join from the Netherlands. Evan is here. Boogie Daddy is here. Bro Sense. Thank you so much, bro. Appreciate you. Luis Perez. Let me know what everybody's wearing in terms of scent of the day, scent of the night, whatever you got. Warden Peace. I think Marlon, I believe that's your name. I did get your email. I will be responding to you today about your winnings for the Argos giveaway. Those of you who missed the Argos live stream, it's up on my channel. Learn more about their newest stuff. We had a great, very colorful, very rich discussion about what they're doing. Some good stuff there. Thanks to all of those who were able to attend. Silver Mountain Water, Cadillo, yes. Herbapura, fragrance is me. I wonder if it's a little cooler where you are. That's a strong one to wear if it's hot. Garcia Jet Ski. I still got to try that one from Nishane. Colonis. It hasn't interested me enough to really seek it, but I hear it's good. Ajmal Kuro. Good stuff. Molinard Violet. Molinard is good stuff. Prada Luna Rosa Ocean. Yes. Platinum Egoist. Man, I need to revisit that one. I've been meaning to do that for years. Eros EDP. All right. Nautica Voyage. Am I cheap? No, you're not cheap, Gerard. Wear what you love. That's what matters. Interlude Black Iris. Good stuff, John. Arolfa. All right. Bro Sense. Loewe Paulus Ibiza. I am very, very unfamiliar with the brand. I've only tried one fragrance, and it was years ago. Zanel. Your take on Dior Homme Parfum? Fantastic scent. Morning. Bois Mystique by Hubigon. All right. Still got to try that. Cedroit Boisé. Richard's wearing that. Fred Lane, good to see you. Risasi Hawas, again, believe it or not, I don't know if I have said this, but I have still to try. I still have yet to try that. I've been seeing it hyped for years. This light is strobing, and it's going to give me a seizure. There we go. Sheep, number 1. Hindu Kush, haven't tried it. Tojo is wearing Elysium Parfum Cologne. And that is my scent of the day as well. And I'm wearing this for a reason, of which I'll be talking about soon. Gaza is wearing Nishane Wulong Cha. Beautiful scent. Cartier Declaration. EDP, Jeannie, great choice. Cyril's here. Good to see you. Hombre Safrano. Is that a new one? I haven't tried that. From BDK. Sedley, one of the best from the brand, if you're asking me ever, in regards to the fresh scents. If I like Philosicos, I will be talking about Philosicos today. I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm happy to hear that, Stephen. Thank you. Danny is testing Kenzo Ohm EDP. All right. John, let's see. Do you take on wearing something like Ombre Nomad in humid weather? John, honestly, it would not be my first choice. If you absolutely love the fragrance and you just don't want to be kept from wearing it, I say go ahead and do it. But typically, when it's hot, I crave a different type of profile other than something like that. I don't consider it the most appropriate. It's kind of like wearing a sweater in the summertime. You can do it, but I think there's just better options. But give it a try. See how it works. Marcelo, that's a very nice question. Most people don't ask that. I'm doing okay. I'm a little tired, but thank you, Marcelo. Okay, people are smelling fantastic. By the looks of it, it seems to be everyone's kind of breaking out their warmer weather stuff. Some people are still sticking to the heavy stuff. So maybe the weather's not quite warm where you are yet, or you just don't care. You said, I'm just going to wear it anyway. If you're inside just for the day or whatever, climate controlled, then it doesn't matter. But hey, do you? Adam asks, out of all the Roger Parfums Discovery sets, which one would you pick to buy first? I don't know all of their Discovery sets. I don't know how they're broken up. I would tailor that to whatever season it is for you right now. If it is warm, then look for the one that has fresher options, because I think those are going to be the most appropriate and most immediately applicable. Tomato. That would be my advice. Marcelo says Brazilians are all about performance because everything is expensive here. Interesting. That is quite valid and quite relevant to today's topic. The newlywed phase is wearing on you. I'm not exactly sure if I feel that, but just life in general. But honestly, nothing to complain about. Okay. Adam says, would I say Roger Parfums is my number one favorite niche brand? I will say that they are one of the brands who have several favorites of mine that I like, several of my top favorites. But I couldn't say as a whole they are my favorite brand. I don't have one favorite brand. That's just me because I like variety. Okay, we're going to dive into today's topic. Now, if you happen to miss the video that I posted yesterday, then this topic might feel completely irrelevant and just maybe a head scratcher because you're like, wait, where is this coming from? But I do encourage you to watch that video. I'm sure maybe many of you did. And if you missed it, it is linked in the description. At least it should be. And that video, just to sum it up, I was touching on an observation. Anytime I post these critical discussion videos, it is always based on something I see or have seen. I'm not just pulling these things out of thin air. And obviously, everything that I see is filtered through my perspective, just like everything you see is filtered through yours. So because I have a channel where I make videos, I use my platform to simply express my perspective on what I see. And what I saw was people reaching out to me, basically asking, what's the best performing fragrance I can buy? And that is not an invalid question. But maybe they're just asking the wrong guy because I am one to say that performance is at best a secondary factor that I consider when it comes to a fragrance. Fragrances are made to smell a certain way, and the smell, as a result, is my top priority. A lot of the time, well, actually, I'm not even going to say that. I don't have facts on that. I'm not going to blurt out stuff that's not true. Let's see here. I don't think we were including fragrances that have zero performance. Michael, I'm not sure what you mean by that exactly. Miles Davis, again, the funniest name, but one of my heroes. Bro, if you can't smell it, what's the point? Imagine spending $300 on Viking and it's water. Yeah, so again, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about it all. First thing I want to do is create an addendum to my video. I did touch on this, but I realized after the fact, as a result of some of your comments, that I didn't really explicitly discuss it as clearly as I thought I did. And I know I did say some pretty, I don't know, maybe inflammatory statements. At the end of the day, they're really not inflammatory because what we're talking about is ultimately inconsequential in the grand scheme of life. But if we're going to entertain the idea, I mentioned the fact that performance doesn't matter. Again, that is a very strong statement to make. And honestly, I stand behind it. It comes with a caveat that is in the context of how it smells. Performance doesn't matter to me. But to expound on that even more, something that I mentioned in the video, but again, could have gone deeper on it if I had the forethought, was the fact that variety is best. Variety. I said, why have a collection that is completely homogenous? That's just me. Maybe some people want that. But with all that in mind that I just said, I have a question, and I'd like for you to answer it in the comments. Do you prefer to have a balanced wardrobe, or do you prefer that all of your fragrances are strong performers? Why? Go ahead and write it down. So I'm seeing some responses here. Do you feel that people relate price point with performance? USMC, I think somehow in this fragrance community, specifically, we do this. This is his question. We do this in the community here. The average consumer who just walks into Macy's to buy a fragrance, they don't think about performance. And I'm saying that from experience because I actually worked at Macy's at the fragrance counter for a minute, just for a small minute a few years ago, and dealt with a lot of the just general public, the general fragrance consumers. And most people want their fragrance to be subtle. They don't want it to be overwhelming. Men and women, honestly. It's not 100% that way. Of course, there are exceptions, but across the board, that was the majority. Now, us in the community here, we love to smell our fragrances, of course. So I think that is where things shifted and people really started putting a lot of weight on performance. Okay. Gerard says balanced, pick for occasion. That is what I will be talking about today. I agree with that. Evan, I like to have balance, but I find that most scents I gravitate towards are sweeter and heavier. Cool. Great. Noel, balanced wardrobe versatility is key for me. Again, I agree with that. Whoop. It depends on the activity, weather, season. You guys are all coming close to how I feel about it and what I have to say about it. Michael says balance. My frags can affect the vibe. Yeah. I'm looking, let's see. Do we have any contrary? I see a lot of people saying that. Balanced. Different things for different, different scents for different occasions. Jeannie says the same thing. Different moods. Balance. Yeah, I see a lot of balance. Does anybody feel other than that? I would really like to see an alternative. Let's see. Richard says, I agree with variety of scents, but they better last or I give it away. Okay, so that is one bit of pushback. Definitely balance. Can't have beast mode every day. That's what Nash says. Sometimes you want something light and subtle, depending on mood and occasion. Again, yeah. Great question. Yeah, balanced. Okay. Balance, balance, balance. About half and half because I do long shifts. Got you, Lee. I know a lot of people are worried about that when they work. They have a work day. They want their fragrance to last, of course. As long as I love it, how it smells, it doesn't matter that much. I agree, Green Igniter. Danny, but it's like asking whether technique or soul is more important for a musician. A musician needs technique to express what they want to express. This is very true. Yeah, this is very true, but I think the difference is that we're taught in that regard, those two things are necessities to being successful at being a performing musician. But, and in that regard, there's no bad time to have technique and soul together. But in regards to fragrance, there is function in not having both performance and love of scent. I think love of scent is a non-negotiable. And I know there are people out there who wear fragrance that they don't love specifically because it either lasts a long time and or it gets compliments. I don't agree with that at all. Love of scent is a non-negotiable, but performance is negotiable for me because, again, there's a time and place where you can have something super strong, something not so strong. Again, we'll touch on that in a little bit. But an interesting metaphor, Danny, talking to the right guy. Okay, the only time I would get annoyed is if I spent a lot on the fragrance and couldn't smell it on my own skin after a couple of hours. Okay. All righty. Cadillo says we need to factor in olfactory fatigue. We sure do. And that is a hard thing to quantify, if not impossible. Everyone's different. Everyone experiences different. And it's hard to truly know if you're experiencing olfactory fatigue. Steven says, I'm mostly looking for weak fragrances in the summertime. It also comes down to your skin. Overall, I like balance. I couldn't imagine having everything strong like Santal 33. Sure. I agree. Gerard says, you vocalized it before. Your fragrance should not announce you before you enter the room. Yeah, that's how I feel. Some people disagree with that, but that is how I feel. Honey Bun. For example, with my recent purchase on Wash Beach Hut, I find it too strong in sillage and duration. Lasts 12 hours on me and everyone within 2 meters can smell it. It is very strong. And that means it can be too strong in certain situations. Well. Okay. Yeah, I've seen both. I apologize. My fragrance journey evolved around fragrances during surviving an 8 to 10 hour workday. Okay, I get it. I think some people like it to be strong so others can smell as they think it will attract others. That is the nail on the head right there. It is the need or the desire for attention, acknowledgement. And that is just simply a different personal philosophy with how people wear fragrances. Some people wear them, for conspicuous consumption is a thing where you kind of do it for others to notice that you did it. And then there's doing it for yourself. Either way is valid as long as you're not hurting anyone. Okay. I appreciate scents which are overwhelming but maintain presence. Yeah, I totally agree. And in fact, in the video that I talked about, the video yesterday, I mentioned Luministe from Frappan, which I think does that perfectly. I don't have it in front of me here, but it does have presence. It has personality. It is not overwhelming. It is that perfect blend. Okay. Michael says, I think the average person uses fragrances wants to be strong. Otherwise, the market wouldn't be pushing for more performing ones. Michael, it really depends on how we define the market. If we're talking about us here on YouTube, the fragrance community, the ones who come to watch videos and talk about fragrances online, we are the minority. And therefore, in particular, the designer market, they don't really care about us because they don't have to. Their average consumer, who is the majority, does not exist in this space. They don't make their fragrances for us, they make them for the majority. And that's why we still keep seeing designer fragrances that maybe don't perform all that well. They're not concerned. And again, in my experience, I have noticed that the majority of people don't want their fragrance to be overpowering. In fact, I know so many guys who simply will spray one spray under their shirt when they go to work for the sake of not being overwhelming. And, you know, they're friends of mine. I might correct them or might say, hey, you can spray more if you want. But even then they're like, no, I don't want people to be overwhelmed by it. Brian Kim, sometimes I get the feeling that manufacturers are deliberately weakening the frag performances. There's so much controversy behind that, and there's also a lot of variables behind that. It may not be a devious, deliberate ploy to ruin our lives, honestly, or it could be. You know, the intentions of each brand are their own, and you can only learn of them from them. So we can only speculate. Let's see. Balance/variety. Ross's go-to is Blue Aqua Essenziale. Do you like that as well? I have smelled it, and I do like it. I don't know if I like it enough to go get it, but it's a great scent, very functional. Yes, I almost pulled this one out today. Fico di Amalfi. Everyone rags on the performance, but come on, this stuff smells so flipping good. You just got to forgive it. Yeah, that's what I keep saying. The scent is what matters, yo. If you love it, it's worth it. Okay, I have a couple examples here I want to share. I'm going to pull this off the screen. First of all, let's see, this is a big comment. There's a huge difference between a scent designed to be subtle and a scent made in a cheap cost reduction manner for maximizing profit. The first is good, the latter is a cancer of the fragrance industry. It's so interesting. To make a fragrance perform well doesn't cost a lot of money. I always hear that. I always hear, well, they're cutting costs so that now the fragrance is weaker. No, there's plenty of cheap fragrances that last a long time. I don't believe that performance is directly tied to investment, to how much money is being put into these fragrances. Again, we see it across the board. There are plenty of fragrances that don't cost a lot that last a long time. It's all about the ingredients, and typically synthetic ingredients are going to be the ones that help it stick around. And there's a range of those, and you can get them at different prices. And I mean, some of them can be very expensive, and some of them not so much. So I don't know about that. I don't think that they're saying we need to cut costs, so that means we're going to make the fragrances weaker. No, it could, in that regard, when it comes to ingredients, I think it's more about the source of ingredients. Like, oh, we used to get this lavender from here, now we can't get it from there, we can only afford it from there. And maybe that might affect the scent, and maybe the performance, as a byproduct. But I don't think there's a direct correlation there. Let's see here. Most of the cost cutting comes down to the bottle design. That's probably the go-to place to save money. Yeah, sure. In fact, a lot of the time, I think they say the bottles can, depending on the bottles, yeah, they can be the most expensive part of the fragrance. Do I wear fragrances going to sleep? I have in the past, not really these days. Orange Sanguine is beautiful. Cam asked, does the governing body over fragrances affect performance? I assume you mean like IFRA and governing bodies like that. No, I don't believe so. I think they might influence the appropriate and allowed concentrations of perfume oil in a fragrance. I know there is a cutoff when things can get unsafe for the skin. But even then, that percentage and concentration doesn't always directly relate to performance. You guys already know this, I'm sure. There's plenty of eau de toilettes, which is technically a range of 5 to 15% oils that are more detectable and maybe even longer lasting than some eau de parfums, which are 15 to 20% oils. So I don't believe they really think about that. They're just talking about ingredients and how they might, elicit allergies and all that. That's what they're really worried about. They make them weak, then do flankers and stronger. Richard, that is a thing. That is a thing. That is one of my least favorite aspects of the designer world. And the thing is, it's like you'll see a fragrance weaken over time, and honestly, it doesn't really bother me. I've never been one who's like, man, they weaken this fragrance. It's not what it used to be. I hate it. No, if I still like the scent, I'm still wearing it. I'll still buy it. Case in point goes to Creed Royal Oud. Apparently, they've watered this stuff down. I didn't try it when it came out like 10, 11 years ago. I tried it. I got a decant of it years back, and that decant was actually stronger than my bottle, which I bought last year. But I love this fragrance. It lasts 5 hours. I don't care. It lasts amazing. But it is a problem where if Creed were to come out and say, hey, here's Royal Oud Intense. And it's like, wait, if you could make a Royal Oud Intense, why did you water down Royal Oud? Why did you claim that, oh, this is the best we can do with it? So that's when it becomes a questionable practice. It's like, okay, I see what you guys are doing. Sir Siage, if focus is too much on performance, creativity will suffer. Amazing scents like Givenchy Gentleman Cologne will never be seen again. Everything will just be embroxed in a nice sweet super. There's something to that as well. Yes, the artistry, the just the beauty of scent, the appreciation of something smelling great, no matter how long it lasts on your skin. I understand the practical side of it. I get it. So I'm actually going to speak on that now. I saw a few people in the comments on my video and in these comments here talking about, well, I want my fragrance to last through my workday. And it's like, yeah, of course. Who wouldn't want that? And that goes back to my question about a balanced wardrobe. And it's kind of a simple solution. If you want to have a fragrance that lasts 8 to 10 hours for your workday, then wear a fragrance that does that. You have fragrances in your wardrobe that are specifically for that purpose. I did make a video recently about specific functions in life and fragrances for those functions. This kind of goes along with that. So yeah, if you know you need performance, wear a stronger fragrance for that situation. If you don't need performance, then there are fragrances that are totally valid for that. For instance, this one that I'm wearing today, Elysium, notorious for not performing so well. I love the scent nonetheless. It's hot here today. I might wear it out, but right now I'm just wearing it in. I'm wearing it for me, and I know there are some people who are saying like, well, when it comes to niche fragrances, you spend a lot of money, it doesn't last. And then, you go through the bottle and I get that. Again, that is the practical side of things. I don't believe that most people will go through their bottles super quickly, especially if you are acquiring fragrances on a semi-regular basis. I know not everyone does. And there's nothing wrong with wanting performance, but there's also nothing wrong with having a fragrance that does not last long that you don't need it to. You could just sit at home. You could wear it fresh out the shower. You could wear it working out. You could wear it just to run a quick errand. Weak fragrances, so to speak, or light fragrances, if you want to say it like that, can have a purpose. They can have a purpose. But if you love the scent and you can afford to buy it, then I'd say it's worth it. But when it comes to niche fragrances, you know what I say. I'm not trying to pressure anyone to go out and spend $200 on a fragrance that they're not sure how well it performs. Performance can be a deciding factor for you. I'm not saying it can't, but get a sample and see. And if you spray it and it's like, okay, I really love how this smells, but it doesn't really last that long, then decide, okay, is that good enough for me? Is that going to be a game changer? If it is, then that's fine. But all I'm trying to say is that weak fragrances can have a place. As people were saying earlier here in the stream, I like different fragrances for different scenarios, for different moods. Sometimes I don't want to be overpowering. Sometimes I don't want something super strong or something that's going to last 13,000 hours on my skin. Let's see here. Brian says it is difference in values. It sure is. Again, I am one person merely sharing my experience. That's it. One solution regarding fragrances that are way too reformulated is to purchase some manufactured in the Middle East. Okay. Great Movement says, let the fragrance mist on your shirt. Yeah, it always lasts a longer time on the clothes. But again, if you need a fragrance to last a long time, then wear a long-lasting fragrance for that scenario. It's that simple. No matter how good a fragrance smells, if it lasts 1 to 2 hours and costs a lot, it's a huge disappointment. If it doesn't last but costs a reasonable amount, fair enough. 5 hours should be the minimum. Yes, quantifying the number, that can be kind of a funny thing to do. Yeah, again, it comes down to function. And again, in this community, we do seem to equate the amount of money you spend with how long it lasts, which is a slippery slope. That's a slippery slope. I'm not even sure exactly what I want to say about that, but basically, I don't necessarily abide by that. Again, Creed Royal Oud for me, maybe 5 hours. I have other fragrances like, let me think, from Atelier. What are they called? I can't even think of their name. They have a fragrance called Riviera Drive. I need to look this up now. I have it. It lasts like literally 3 hours, but it's such a beautiful fragrance. Atelier des Ors. I'm not going to go grab it. It's in the other room. But this beautiful fragrance here, it lasts a few hours, but I have very specific scenarios that I wear it in. I might wear it again, just like I might wear it to work out here at home. I might wear it if I just want to have something around me for a few hours, and then I can put on something else later. That is one thing I love about not so strong fragrances, is that, yeah, you can put it on, it can wear off, and then you can put on something else later on in the day. Just because it doesn't last doesn't mean it's invalid. There's a function for it. If you're worried about the money, then don't get it. Don't get it. That's fine. Lots of people exaggerate poor performance. They often last longer than stated. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. And I've even been a victim of that. I think I've even said in videos like, oh, this fragrance didn't last that long. And then I've tried it later in another season or just a different context, and I was like, oh, I was kind of wrong. Case in point for me is Frappans Luministe. I had a decant of that years ago. I swear I only got maybe 3-4 hours out of it. I got a bottle of it. And with full wearings, I've realized, like, yeah, it does die down super close, but it actually sticks on the skin for like 8 hours or something like that. Julius White, I can't stress this enough. I think we tend to overcomplicate things. If you like it, buy it. If you buy it, wear it. Yeah. We can get, especially with reviews on YouTube. Reviews on YouTube, and I'm not exempt from this, have kind of overcomplicated this issue because we start to try to quantify everything on screen. It's like, oh yeah, you're going to get 8 to 10 hours out of this fragrance. In reality, how can you really quantify that? And even then, it's subjective. Everyone is going to have a different experience. It's not like at the 10-hour mark, boop, it just like completely disappears off of your skin. If a fragrance lasts that long, it could probably last longer than that. It just becomes very light. So I get a lot of people asking me in my videos, hey, why didn't you mention performance in this video about these fragrances? Why don't you mention performance? I don't really mention performance that much because it's so subjective. I can't make any guarantees. I can tell you how long it lasts for me, but even then, I would not recommend you just take that to heart and assume that that's what you're going to experience. Get a sample. Performance is not an exact science. Agreed. It can just really convolute the whole situation. And again, speaking from experience, and I've made videos on this years ago. I didn't even realize I was already talking about this, how much it bothered me, how people can easily overlook some truly phenomenal fragrances simply because they might hear that they don't last a long time. Or that's typically how it goes. And maybe they don't. And I've passed up a lot of them in that regard and then come back later and realize, man, I was missing out. This is actually really good. Stuff like Timbuktu from L'Artisan Parfumeur. Not the strongest fragrance. I heard that it was very unique. I heard that it was special, but I heard that it wasn't very strong, so I overlooked it. I got myself a bottle years back, and I'm like, why did I wait so long? I don't care. 6 hours is what I'm getting at the most on good days, and I don't care. It smells incredible. If I need more, I will spray more. It's that simple. Okay, that's an interesting philosophy. Marquise. Man, I'm not saying I'm a professional at it. That's what I've heard before. Frappant. I know some people say frappin', but I assume, it is French. So, but I'm not don't take my word for it. The sooner people realize that every review is subjective, they'll start appreciating fragrances a lot more. Yeah. Again, I do think that the reviewing space has kind of ruined, not completely, but kind of ruined the experience for some because it stunts it. It really puts these unnecessary boundaries on it. And it keeps you from trying stuff, keeps you from just discovering. But at the same time, it can be a great way to discover stuff you wouldn't have otherwise. So it's a balance, but we need to acknowledge that there is a downside to watching fragrance reviews. Again, I'm not exempt. And we're not trying to do anything wrong. Us as reviewers, we simply share our experience. We share our taste. If you align with that, that's great. If not, that's great. But no matter what you do, when you go into a review, go into watching a video, go in knowing that you are listening to a subjective experience, hopefully an honest one, and know that your mileage may vary. So get a sample. If it interests you, if it sounds interesting, get you a sample. Don't even worry like, well, it's $200. They said it doesn't really last that long. Doesn't matter. If it sounds interesting, don't worry about that. Get you a sample, see for yourself. But it's totally fine to be like, you know what? Yeah, it doesn't sound interesting. I'm out of here. I'm just trying to shed light on some stuff that would otherwise be overlooked. I've had so many people reach out and tell me that John Varvatos vintage doesn't last a very long time, and therefore they're disappointed in it. I've had a lot of people watch my videos and try this fragrance and give me feedback. And I've always acknowledged, like, yeah, it doesn't last a super long time. I wouldn't say it's a complete wimp. I might get a good 6 hours out of this, but while it's on my skin, it is amazing. It serves the functions that I need it to serve. If I wear it, I'm usually wearing it out at night, and I'm not going out for 12 hours. I'll be out for maybe 5 at the most. And that's all I really need. And it's not that expensive. So I know that to some people that justifies it even more. But again, there's some people who say like, well, it doesn't last, period, so it's not worth having. It's garbage. I just simply disagree with that. Here's a fragrance that I bought that is a niche fragrance that does cost money, that does not last a long time, but I love the smell. Philosophes from Diptyque. There is an eau de parfum version of this. This is the eau de toilette. The eau de parfum is a little bit stronger than this, but not by much. Eau de toilette, 4 to 5 hours is what I'm getting out of this. But it smells absolutely stunning, especially out in the heat. I just wear for a few hours. If I have to reapply it, I reapply it. If I go through the bottle, and I love it, I'm going to get another bottle, even if I have to save up for it. If you love the scent, it's worth having if you can afford it. If you love the scent, and you can always find a use for it. Okay, Killian has some weak performing fragrances. They kind of do. Yeah, it's a range, but they have some strong ones too. Where would I recommend getting samples? As I've always said, I mean, there's plenty of great places out there. Decan X is one of my favorites, simply because if you're in the United States, they have free shipping with no minimum purchase, and they have a great growing selection, and just they do quality in terms of the atomizers and all that. So that's a great spot, and you can always get a discount with the code StayFresh17. StayFresh17. Dior Homme Cologne doesn't last long on me. Still bought another bottle. I assume because you love the scent. I feel you. Murat. People are also judging the fragrance too quickly. That can happen from time to time. Penhaligon's last like nothing, but they have some of my favorite fragrances. I will say Sartorial doesn't last a very long time for me, but Halfeti Cedar, that fragrance lasts a good while. Nonetheless, I would love it either way because it smells great. It smells great. Hillary, good to see you. Hillary says, I'm a huge fan of Philosophes and almost any other fig forward fragrances. Fig forward fragrances, fig forward fragrances, fig forward fragrances, fig forward fragrances, fig forward fragrances. I'm sure someone could do it faster. I don't like wearing a fragrance. I don't like the idea of wearing a fragrance with weak sillage when I'm going out, but I prefer to wear it for myself. Yeah, again, that's all I'm saying. It has a purpose. It doesn't have to be your going out scent. It doesn't have to be a work scent. But you don't need a 12-hour fragrance if you're just lounging at home. I mean, you can wear it, but you don't need that. So there is validity. Let's see. Do I have any other examples here? Not really. I have some stronger fragrances here as well. Stuff like Beach Hut Man was mentioned earlier, but Bracken Man from Amouage is also another one that is very strong. And I guess to that end, some people say, well, you get what you pay for because it's strong. I say you get what you pay for if the scent is quality, if it moves you. If it lasts, that is a bonus. But sample it first. Again, strong fragrance, niche fragrances, sample them first. You can't even use how expensive it is as an excuse because you have no business blind buying it if you can avoid it. I know that's a little harsh, but that's just how I feel. Bought a sample of Mancera Instant Crush, only 2 milliliters. Sprayed it once, too sweet. 2 months later, I can still smell it on my jacket. Put me right off ever buying it. Yeah, strong fragrance, very sweet. Strong is not always great. If it was weaker, perhaps it would have been a little bit more digestible, but maybe not. But I do enjoy that one. That one is quite sweet and quite strong. I think reviews could do more to highlight fragrances with top notes disappearing way too quickly. In the context of an 8-hour fragrance, 10 minutes is 4%. I don't know about, again, the quantifying with all the numbers and all that. It's not that definitive. It's just not. And, experiences are different among people. And even if I were to somehow come up with those numbers, you may not experience it the same way. Nonetheless, top notes are going to evaporate quickly. That's just what it is. There's no getting around that, especially citruses and herbs and things. That's just what it is. We can't really be mad at that. Blind buy equals deserved disappointment. BB equals DD. Yes. How do I find these new fragrances? What websites do you use? It can be a rabbit hole, going to like Base Notes or Fragrantica. Obviously, they're huge databases, Parfumo as well. But that is where I think YouTube reviews can come in handy. You can be exposed to new fragrances and get most of the information you need about them right there in a video, and hopefully an entertaining one. So that's the good about reviewers and YouTube videos. But you can, other than that, something I've done in the past, I'll go to Fragrantica and I might deep dive on a particular brand. Maybe it's a brand I heard the name of. I'll like, let me just look at all their fragrances, and I'll scroll through them. I'll click on them. I'll see how people experience them, what people have to say about them, or if there's no reviews on them, I might check them out. I might get a sample. I don't get how people can say this will project X feet. How exactly? That has never really made sense to me. I've never really been someone to review a fragrance like that. It's going to project for 2 feet or an arm's length for an hour. Dior Elixir is so good. Awesome recommendation. I'm glad you like it. I got it right here. This is one of those fragrances that if performance is your top attribute that you consider, this is it. In terms of like, am I getting my money's worth? How long does it last? If this is your only fragrance, that is totally valid. I feel like, you want it to last a long time, but even then you don't really need that. It depends on who you are, what your personality is, what your life is like, your lifestyle. But I can see what people mean by that. They want it to last a long time if they're going to pay a lot of money for it. This is overpriced, if you're asking me. But I can't deny that it's good. In terms of what most people like us are looking for in a fragrance, they want it to last a long time. They want it to project and be detectable. They want it to be pleasant to themselves and others. This checks all the boxes in that regard. Is it an interesting fragrance that captures my attention all day long? No, it's not. And for me, in my journey where I'm at, that's what I'm looking for. It's easy to smell good. I have at least 65 ways I can just simply smell good. But I want to be interested in it. And that's why scent matters more to me than performance. And again, if I need to really smell it again, I'll spray it again. Yes, Emmanuel, I did see your comment. No matter how delicious it may be, if it doesn't last and project long enough, I just don't buy it. And again, that all depends on your lifestyle. If you need a fragrance to last for work, don't wear a weak fragrance, a light fragrance. That just doesn't make any sense. All I'm saying is that there are plenty of life scenarios where you don't need a beast mode fragrance. You don't even need a 10-hour fragrance. You can just put it on for a few hours. It'll disappear. You can put on something else, and you can get through your bottles quicker that way. Wear as many fragrances in a day as you can. That's what I believe. I also hate weak fragrances. Picked up Club de Nuit Intense Man EDP, and it dies out on me in 2 to 3 hours. Picked up Sillage, and it lasts all day. Ended up buying a second bottle in case of reformulation. Well, my question to you, hippie for life, how did you feel about the scent of Club Dennyweed Intense Man? Was the scent just completely irreconcilable? Just like it smells great, but no, it doesn't last. And even then, that is known to be a pretty strong fragrance. So you could be experiencing some kind of fatigue there. But you do you. I'm glad sillage works for you, though. There could be an ingredient in that fragrance and Club Dennyweed that could be affecting how you smell it all day long. I wear relatively weak fragrance for work, at least closer to the skin. I get that. Again, they have a purpose. Pat, thank you so much. Yes. All righty. Have a good day, Pat. Jeremy, why do I want Reflection 45? I prefer the original. The 45 kind of like altered the magic of the original. It's good, but it's almost too different, honestly, which is so strange. My scent of the day is a weak performing fragrance that I wear at home for me, Elysium from Roger Parfums. I might wear it out too, but after about 3 to 5 hours, it's so close to the skin, but I love the way it smells. And I will reserve it for times when I don't need a fragrance to last a long time. Is there any worry about wearing Middle Eastern fragrances, as in difference in how they regulate what's in the bottles? Worry. I'm not sure what you mean by that in terms of like who's worried, in terms of the general public, in terms of those who govern what fragrances can be on the market. I'm not sure. I guess you're meaning consumers. I think there's a lot of people who love Middle Eastern fragrances. I definitely appreciate them. Raja. Yeah, they are. They really are. A worry health-wise. Not that I know of. Not that I know of. I don't know if anyone's like really worried, but I just haven't heard. I'm not worried, so I can speak for myself. They're not regulated by IFRA yet. I believe you are correct. Breakthrough again. Morning chess. I still got to try that, Frag Dude. I agree. Frag Dude, iFragrance Official is a good place as well. Maybe some people are just weak-minded and need beast mode reassurance. Can you smell me now? Oh, Phil, don't say that too loud. Don't say that too loud. You might be right. Divine, I actually did not see anything from Essence. I wasn't clued into any of the news or anything like that, so I have to go back and see. But I have seen Nishane's announcement on their Instagram about their 4 new releases, which is insane. 4 new fragrances, but I'm curious about them. I love the house. We'll check them out. Harmonic Code Parfum launching in September. I saw that. The bottle looks interesting. The fact that they changed the bottle design, that actually intrigues me more than the scent. But based on my previous experience with some recent Armani Code flankers, I'm just pulling it up now, I'm not necessarily holding my breath about it. If you guys missed it, I have one blurry little picture of Armani Code Parfum. I don't think it's going to be much different than the EDP, but we'll see. Let's see here. I am curious, though. Does vegan or all natural ingredients affect performance? Yes, indeed, Cam. Yes, indeed. Natural oils are known to be a little bit more volatile than synthetics. So a mostly naturally composed fragrance may not last very long. And it can also be dangerous. So people always get kind of hung up like, oh, it's all synthetic. You need synthetics. And a lot of the time, they help a fragrance last longer. They will not, people will not be affected by allergies with them quite as much, if not at all. But there's no guarantees there. And they allow us to have certain accords that we could not have naturally. So we can really just open up what is possible with the fragrance. If you're worried about the scent, I am. I care about what it smells like. I care about it being interesting. Okay. Safe Nathan. I have a few weak fragrances. Also have a few awesome that leave sillage. It's all about balance. Yeah. Have both. Both have a purpose. Next revolution. I think maybe evolution. But I get what you mean. Next in perfumery, will or should be. Last shift was unisex focus. That's a heavy topic. Heavy topic. I would need to think about that. I don't want to just spout off something off the top that doesn't have as much substance as I'd prefer. But that's a great question. Perhaps something for another time, but maybe everyone can chew on that. Doc French, what's out there that can get you really close to oligarch? Honestly, a lot of people would tell you that it's Terre d'Hermès, but Terre d'Hermès does not have the sweetness that oligarch has. I love Terre d'Hermès, but I would not say it is the closest alternative. So I'm not sure, honestly. I still have yet to come across that. Maybe it's a layering combo of some kind, layer Terre d'Hermès with Cedroc Boisé or something. And maybe you'll get a fruitier Terre d'Hermès, which could get you closer, but that's all theory. I don't layer, so I'm not really the one. Matt Richardson says it's clones is the next evolution. I think that's an interesting point to make. I do think clones are making a very prominent space in the market right now. I do think that they're not necessarily taking over in terms of like, that's what we're going to be buying now. We're just going to get dupes. That's it. We don't really care about the original stuff. No, I don't. I think there's still plenty of interest in the original stuff, if not more so than in dupes. But it is a rising industry. It's one that I have outright said, not the biggest fan for the sake of art. But I understand why people value them. Brian Kim, yes, it has, because of the Russian and Ukraine conflict. So they did that to be sensitive to the issue. Anyway, I think that's all we're going to do for today. It's been about an hour. I wanted to just get some thoughts off my brain, off the chest. I wanted to touch on some feedback that I had gotten from you guys, and I wanted to hear your thoughts on the issue. Really, really cool feedback from you guys in the comments. I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts. And thanks for listening to me, hearing me out. Again, this would kind of serve as a bit of an edit or maybe an addition to my video, but I still stand behind what I said in that video. I do think scent is what matters the most, mainly because I do think weaker performing fragrances still can serve a function in your collection. Everything does not have to be super strong. So if you missed that video still, again, it's in the description. Check it out. But thank you all for tuning in. I'll be back on Monday with another video. And yeah, take care. Have a great weekend. Stay warm, stay cool, whatever the weather is for you. And we'll talk soon.